All right, my friends, welcome to episode 343 of Prof and Dev Play Games. And to riff on a refrain we're going to talk about, we believe that bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom are fundamental human rights, and our Supreme Court is a complete trash fire.
Yeah, pretty much.
Over there's Anthony the Dev at Summer Speak. I am at Prof Plays Games, and this is a pretty dark week for America, I would say.
I would agree. Kind of crazy that it actually happened.
They did it. They've been saying for decades they're going to reverse Roe versus Wade, and they got enough crazy people to lie during their confirmations to get in there and do it. And now the Republicans don't have their wedge issue anymore. I don't know. They'll find a new one. But,
yeah. I mean, there's...
Boy.
Let's look at all the other stuff. I mean, we can just continue the wedge of trans rights. We can continue the wedge of same-sex marriage. Like, to just bring up the entire list of progressive values over the last 50 years. And
Thomas laid out the game plan. Like, we're going to go after contraception. We're going to go after same-sex relationships, same-sex marriage. He didn't mention interracial marriage, believe it or not. No. But, yeah, they're coming. Activist judges are coming for all of our rights, and we are in America now, where our children too have fewer rights than we did last week.
It's true,
and that is fucking dark.
Depending on where you live, that's
yes, right,
and that's not what it should be. That's right.
No,
that's not the thing. I'm even like not pointing that out as like picking and choosing. It's just like that's not how this should be. Like. This was always what was it? Roe v. Wade was tied to privacy, I believe.
Yes, exactly.
It's the laws of privacy of like healthcare is a private matter. So
it's the
what you choose,
issue.
What you choose to do with your body and what you need to talk to doctors or any medical procedures is private, which is a protected right. I think that also came back to the like. That was the same-sex marriage and the whole thing there, and it was the thing of what adults do in their homes is private. Cannot and should be protected by the Constitution because you have rights to privacy.
Well, the small government Republicans are saying no. We're going to take away abortion, and we're going to take away rights to privacy, and we're going to come for same-sex relations. We're going to reinstate sodomy laws, which don't just include same-sex relationships, but heterosexual relationships, and in some states, oral sex. So, all
that's back on the table for being
all of it's back on the table. That's right.
To becoming like, well, if you live in the South, you don't get any of this. At all. Like all of these rights are going away for you. Many of those states, the rights already went away as soon as this happened.
Yep, the trigger laws. It's just
trigger laws
based on religious doctrine. So the separation of church and state as well is just gone with these nutcases in the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Yep. There's absolutely no reason to do any of this from a non-religious standpoint.
And then the law enforcement response to protests at the Capitol and other places as well were quite a bit stronger than the law enforcement response to a fucking insurrection. So that's
I mean, I will argue there that Capitol Police were completely kept in the dark about what was going to happen on that day, and intentionally, I guess, misled on how much they should care about what was going on.
Also not called in.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm I would expect they would probably have a similar response, honestly, if they had known, been called in or informed about what was happening on January 6th. There might be more than like one Capitol Police officer manning some like half-assed like fences up towards the Capitol building.
I will allow it.
Yeah.
So to pivot slightly, game studios and of course other anyone with a fucking conscience really is making statements, and there are a ton of first-party Sony studios who are saying made statements about, for example, here's Insomniac Games, and this kind of sets in for everybody's. We are human beings who make games. Reproductive freedom and bodily autonomy are human rights. And just, studio after studio saying the same thing. Some, Google, other places as well saying, we'll take care of our employees who are in those states and we will get them the care they need.
Yeah. I mean, System Error, where I work, we've retweeted something we tweeted about that said similar things whenever the decision had been leaked. What was that, 2 months ago at this point?
Mm-hmm.
About
was it 2 months? Wow,
month and a half. It's been a number of weeks.
It's been a while. Yeah.
And we've only retweeted that. Our social media manager has talked. We've been doing, as a company, a lot of internal discussions, and basically it's well, we're tweeting that because we actually we want that right now, but whenever we say something else, we want to have a very clear language on things that we are doing as a company. Yeah. We don't want to just throw up a pittance. We no, these are the things we're doing. And the thing that we're totally willing to do is any kind of travel for anyone who needs it. We don't have a lot of people outside Washington State. But there are a couple, and we're always have that offer open to them. If they need a health procedure of any kind and they need to travel for it, we'll reimburse it. And then also being hey, if where you are is uncomfortable now and you don't want to be there, we can't have, basically because of tax things and setting up little small businesses, the whole thing, any state you can go to, but we will completely cover travel and moving costs if you want to move to Washington.
Yep, exactly.
No issues there. So,
well, that's good to have that support for.
Yeah.
I've talked to several people, in my, my colleagues or whatever, who have family in other states who are they're leaving. This is it.
Yeah.
And, Josh Hawley's this is great for us because it's going to concentrate Republican power in red states because the liberals are going to leave, and that's, we're partially true in terms of the Senate because it's just, predominated by small states with farmland.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's how the Senate was designed.
Yep.
But
yeah, well, it's good to see the, companies speaking up and taking care, just having to step in where the government fails. We are at the point now where we are making statements as a nation to protect our citizens from our Supreme Court.
Yep. You've got Niantic, Bethesda, Ubisoft making statement. Ubisoft's not even a U.S. company, but still making a statement being our teams there.
Well, I like what they said. They said we fully support our teams in the U.S. They're a global company.
ArenaNet, Devolver, Innersloth, Gorilla, Media Molecule, Sucker Punch, Bend, Sony Bend, PlayStation London, Naughty Dog, Sony Santa Monica, Insomniac, as you said, and then Bungie having a blog post that was basically saying this. May 4th, they put out their statement. That was whenever the decision leaked. Was May 4th.
Oh, May 4th. Oh, Jesus Christ, that was.
And then they updated their blog post, being just looking. Yeah, Bungie is committed to ensuring that every one of our employees and their families have safe and affordable access to essential healthcare needs. As we continue to expand our digital-first workplace to more states, we will now be implementing travel reimbursement program for any employee to use when they or a dependent cannot get access to healthcare they need where they live.
Good.
So I think it's pretty consistent to say that a vast majority of the biggest players in the video game space are completely against this decision and will do what they can to help their employees.
Yep. Did Xbox put out a statement? Did I miss that?
I didn't see it here. I saw Bethesda put one out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Microsoft has specifically stated. I'll probably look online if they've said anything. But I don't know if Sony overall, don't think said anything, but they clearly are their first party studios can say whatever can say.
Right. And here's the language to say what you need to say.
Yeah. And each kind of adapts it in their own way a little bit.
For sure.
But they all want to say that about believe in bodily autonomy and reproductive freedom. And the body autonomy piece is nice to add there for all of our trans colleagues. Because this is going to be this is one. They are already, honestly, trans rights have been getting shit on constantly recently. So it's all together. We're all in this together, even if like we're dudes and Roe v. Wade doesn't affect our bodily choices, but
it doesn't. But dudes are still way affected by this. You know, if you're in a relationship with someone, or you have, you know, every dude knows a woman. So
that's my thing. I'm like 50% of our population. You should ideally have some empathy for that part of the population, and even if can understand like this shouldn't be a thing that we want to regulate. Like, even if let them make their decisions.
Yeah, but even if you don't have any empathy, which would suck, like I can forget how long after 1973 it was where people started looking at the crime rate and they're like, well, the crime rate went down. What's accounting for this? Oh, you know what? It's the lack of unwanted babies who came into the world. 10 years from now, what's the crime rate going to look like? What's poverty going to look like? Like, this is going to affect people whether or not they are having an abortion or care about anyone who's having an abortion. Like, it's just society as a whole. Like, the idea of having unwanted children is not good. You know, and the people who are supporting this are like, as soon as the kid's born, we are not going to care about them or support them at all.
Yeah.
It's just, wow. And, you know, gay rights, gay marriage, for example, being legalized. It's not been that long. It's like 2015 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I cannot imagine going back, you know. And then Cornyn's on Twitter talking about taking a look at segregation in schools and reconsidering that. You know, it's just like, you know, game plan's out and everything is on the table for these fucking monsters who have been jerry-rigging and fucking, you know, gerrymandering fucking everything.
Yep. I mean, it really digs right to the core of the problems with the current state of the American democracy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff that has on the ropes. Yeah, that hasn't been addressed for a long time, 50, 60 years. Like, it's just been left there to simmer until stuff like this happens. And I want to believe that we can change it. And this could be a lightning rod moment to make people like, hey, this stuff isn't set in stone. You can lose these rights. Like, they're not solid as you think they are. But I don't know, because I'm also cynical about the current state of the world and how people process information and move on from things very quickly.
And that piece is the key piece for me, where I have been thinking for, you know, since this happened, like, well, this is going to galvanize Democrats. And I'm like, well, we tend to forget things. Like, look at fucking Bobby Kotick. Like, everyone's fucking, like, so excited about Overwatch 2 and have just forgotten about all that shit. It's like, wow, such short memories. But the people who are affected, like, it's so affecting for them and their lives. They are not going to forget by November. Like, this one feels different. And I don't know if that's going to be enough. But it's not, it doesn't feel like the rest. Because when you take rights away, deal. You don't forget when people took your rights away, you know?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a pretty dark day.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can ignore it happening on our little game podcast, because
no, we don't tend to forget, ignore the big things.
Yeah, it affects everything. It affects, like, all these companies putting statements. It affects them. It affects their employees. Like, this stuff, while it's seeming tangential to the act of making games, isn't. Like, people make games, and so what affects people will inevitably affect the games being made.
Yep.
Where they're going to work. Like, I expect a lot of game companies will leave Austin.
That is exactly what I thought a couple of days ago. Like, this just drives liberal, you know, like, imagine these companies, like, if they're in a state where it bans abortion, they're like, well, our employees deserve better than this, so fuck this place.
Yeah, or they don't immediately, but they start losing out on good hires because people are like, I don't want to go to that state. Like, I'm sorry.
It does. Maybe it would also increase remote working. Like, we're just going to open up to remote. Like, I'm not going to move to fucking Texas, but I wouldn't mind working for your company.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work.
That is actually very likely now in this age people that care. They could be like, all right, I'm just gonna stay in this northeast or west coast states that don't have to worry about any of this and
the
work
blue
from
bubble.
wherever. Yeah, basically.
Yep. It just makes it so unlikely that those red states flip blue, because people, just like with gay rights before it was legalized nationwide, like you don't want to grow up or you don't want to live in a place that doesn't recognize your rights. If you can move to a different state, like you want to take, some people stay and fight, so they can have a better place where they live. But I don't begrudge anyone who's like, fuck this, I'm going to California.
Yeah. Because at what point do you feel like you're just like, fighting here is not worth it for me feeling safe and okay?
Yeah, I mean, you eventually, just like, I mean, for me, when I was a kid, and you know this already, like when I ran away from home and I was like at a moment where I was like, is this my life? Do I take control of my life? Do I take a leap? And like, it may work out terribly, but I've got to go now. And I left. And I understand that, because you have one life to live, man. I don't know if you want to live under that kind of shit. And I know people who are thinking about leaving the country. I think I saw fucking Billy Joe Armstrong said he's going to renounce his U.S. citizenship. So, it's just, got one left to live. I understand, but we got to fight this shit, man.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm planning to donate $1 for every download for this podcast, for the rest of, until the end of July, let's say, to Innersloth posted abortionfunds.org, and there's a bunch of funds that receive the money. So I'm going to donate there for every download we get. So if you care, share this podcast, and I'll put the donation out there. The weirdest transition we'll ever have, unless you have something else to say.
No.
On this topic is there was a Nintendo Direct, but it wasn't the Direct that we were expecting.
No. Was it the Direct I wanted, or did I deserve? I'm not even sure, but it was a Direct.
For Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I didn't watch because I have been planning for a while to play those games, and I thought it might spoil the experience. So I didn't watch, but you did. So
I did.
What did you think?
I don't know if it spoils anything, because I don't think the games are linked in that way. They're not direct sequels to each other.
Oh, there's still no shirtless Shulk there?
Yeah, there's no Shulks. They're all new characters, and they're not even, I think, set in the same world, but they're connected thematically, and there might be some, like, meta plot or something happening.
Oh, I should have probably watched it then.
So,
okay.
And some of the, like, different races show up in the different games, but as far as I can tell, they are separate things, separate stories. But I watched it, and I didn't know what to think about going into, like, oh, is this really a game I'm going to want to play? I put 30 hours into one, and even then, I'm now starting to feel kind of, like, tired of it.
Okay.
Like, just one of those things where it's just long. God, it's so long to run everywhere.
Yeah.
Mechanics are fine, except I'm like kind of getting a little bored with combat now. Like, I understand it. I understand what it's doing. People have said with one that, like, at that point when it starts feeling like combat just takes a while, even though you know what you're doing, just drop the combat difficulty like to super easy, so enemies just die, and you can just move through it. Which I might do just to beat it. Yeah. So going into 3, I have no reference for 2. I just know that it exists, and there is women with big boobs in that game. That's pretty much all I've seen. And I'm like, scantily clad, big boobs, very, very horny anime game. Well, and that's all I know.
The Ekru, where you can change your looks and choose the Ekru, where it's like, that shirtless Shulk, right? That's where that came from. But then I did it with Fiora, and I was like, maybe not.
Yep. I know 2 has some of that. So I was like, but I've only seen trailers for 2, and that was my takeaway. So going into this 3 thing with 3, I was like, okay, let's see what's going on. And it kind of I watched it, went through sections. It was like first kind of setting up the world, and that was interesting. That just like there's effectively, it seems like the characters you're playing are clones, or like they're vat bred to basically be soldiers. They live for 10 years to fight. And they either die on the battlefield fighting, or they make it to 10 years, and they get to meet, like, some... And yeah, they meet this queen at the end of it, and kind of, like, their essence gets pulled back into the the gene pool. I'm not really sure. Like it's kind of vague, but that's the premise. Is this two warring nations that just throw that grown resources at them, and they're meant to die to be repurposed and just continue the fight. So it's pretty dark premise from a lot of the games. And then from there they jump and they show off like the characters. And it's like 3 characters from each of the two warring nations come together and are tasked with some other mission to find out like what's really going on. Like clearly this is all a conspiracy. Something is going on bigger. They're supposed to find, and they start being hunted, I think, by both factions. So they have to, these two warring rival groups have to work together, which seemed interesting. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then they show that all 6 characters are on the screen at the same time. This isn't a choose your party game. The party is with you all the time, doing things, fighting.
Gonna chug.
I saw it. I was like, oh no, how are they doing this? Mm-hmm. They kind of are. Like the video makes it seem fine. It's a little framey sometimes, but not as much as bad as I thought it was going to be. And sometimes you can have a 7th party member, like a guest hero character that comes with you. So that's a thing. And that's cool. I'm like, cool, we got a big party and they're all there. And then they start going into the mechanics of the fighting and just like the combat. And it's kind of like Xenoblade 1. Everyone has skills that they can use and you want to like combo through the skills. But you can switch to any character anytime, so you can control the combos happening, which is amazing. And that's cool. I'm like, all right, so you can, a lot like FF12 or Western CRPGs, where you can, I don't know if you can pause in this one and jump characters, but you have the ability to move through the characters and trigger combos as you see fit. And then it cuts to, well, that's cool. Now every character can choose classes, and they're not unique. There's a class system. And you can change the class of your characters. And I'm like, oh no, I'm done now. Like, this is me. This is...
Big time think.
Yeah, this is what I adore doing, and oh crap.
They got you.
They got me good with that. So it just seems like a very deep combat system. And
I feel like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go right ahead. It's fine.
I was just saying, I feel like, we'll talk about it later, but I played Xenoblade 1 for probably 2.5 hours now, and I'm just at the, just learning the combat system, and it feels like it's deep in that game. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's shallow overall, but...
It's not, I don't think it's shallow. It just doesn't evolve much.
Okay.
Like, that's how I felt. Like, now 25, 30 hours in, I'm like, I know the combat system. Like, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. Or at all. Like, I'm just like, okay, cool, my characters, I've equipped the skills. I know how this works now. And I think that's just a level of, like, how many pieces you can actually connect, and so the fact that your party members are AI controlled, you can control one character yourself, but you only are you and 2 other characters at any time. And there's pretty limited skill combos that can happen. So yeah, that's a thing that clearly for 3 they've expanded on that, and the controls on how you use abilities is a little bit simpler. You don't have as many abilities equipped, but you can have 4 abilities in 3. And each ability is tied to a face button, and that's how you trigger it. You trigger it, but it's 4 abilities, and I assume since you can change classes, you can get lots of different abilities, and you pick and choose what you want on each face button. Yeah.
Yeah, because Xenoblade is like, I'm hitting left and right on the D-pad, basically.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot.
A lot.
That... What else did they go into after that? They go into, the classes, that there's, like, effectively free changing of the characters to different classes, and then... I can't remember what they called him, but I was like, oh, it's Eva, basically. Because why not toss one other system in here? And there's basically, like, different party members have, like, relationships, basically, and you can build them up so that in battle they can trigger each other to basically merge together and be an Eva.
as in like a mech?
Yeah, as an Evangelion kind of crazy robot thing that just goes insane with its own abilities. Does tons of damage, can chain attack in with everyone else. Like, it's a thing.
This sounds pretty rad.
It does seem rad. Like, I'm like, okay. But you bring up the thing. I'm like, it's on the Switch, and this is gonna suck for performance. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. I'm worried about that. Like, talk about what we've been playing later, but yeah, I feel like the Switch, there's a lot going on the screen, and I'm looking at some of the screenshots right now. That's a lot.
There is, and I'm like, and be honest, Monolith Soft has done pretty well on working with the Switch hardware and getting the most out of it. So if there's a studio that's going to push it, probably them. But I still don't know how far they can truly push the Switch at this point.
Yeah. I just kind of feel like, lately I've been feeling like, God, I wish this were on the PS5. I wish there was on something that ran better.
Yeah.
And I know that their games are great anyways. And, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is running fine. It was a Wii game, then it was a 3DS game, and now it's on the Switch or whatever. It's fine. But,
this is a game developed for the Switch, specifically.
Yes, exactly.
So, they ended with the fact that the Shulk amiibo will give you a cosmetic in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the Monado blade. And I think that's it.
Sense.
That old, because the Shulk amiibo is kind of older, I believe, and it hasn't been reprinted. Because I've looked at them, like, it's expensive on like eBay. Like, not.
Yeah, I've had that for years at this point.
Yeah. That, and there's going to be a expansion pass for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 that goes through December 20. So there's some new stories, but most of it is like fashion outfits, challenge battles, hero characters, and then minor. Like, it probably at the end of 2023 is like, was it Torna? Was the Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yeah,
probably something similar to that for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 of that size.
Because I'm looking at the thing here, and it looks like there is no real like story content until that last piece, which is the end of 2023.
Yeah,
by the end of 2023, I should say.
Yeah, so that would be the expectation. But
so is this a game you're going to get on launch?
Yep, this is probably going to be my road trip game, because it comes out the July 29th, and I leave on my road trip a couple days later. So yeah, I will totally get this, and then I will play this without any internet or guide looking up. I'll just be playing it and see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first thing I saw. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of excited for this, and it hits the right mechanical systems that I just like in my JRPGs. So why not? Let's do it. I'm in.
I mean, 2. I mean, obviously 1 is people love it. 2 was really well regarded, and Torna was even more, I thought.
Yeah.
So it's. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo has quite a few things coming out, even though we don't have a direct for what's really coming out the rest of the year. But,
maybe this week, right? Maybe they'll do another one that's like, hey, here's all the other stuff.
They keep saying it's going to be the 29th, so I can see them saying something on Tuesday, saying, tune in tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll see. But, this, they just, Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes just launched on Friday. And then you got this next month, and then Splatoon beginning of September. Those are 3 really big games. I mean, people are just over the moon excited for this game. So,
I think this direct really helped on selling Xenoblade Chronicles. I bet it sells particularly well.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the reason why when I saw this and I was like, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to go try to play Xenoblade. I started playing it. I was like, well, I really like this for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. But, it would make me want to pick up 2. If 2's on sale right now, I might pick that up just to have. That's cool.
Yeah.
The number one comment on the YouTube from Nintendo, the direct for 3 here is, I feel like this is Nintendo's version of the Final Fantasy series. What do you think about that? Yeah.
I mean, once I learned that they were disconnected kind of thing, totally makes sense. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is very much Nintendo's take on that. I mean, it's going to be Nintendo since they own most of Monolith Soft at this point. I think they own a significant chunk, at least, of Monolith Soft.
Yes, exactly.
And the people that founded Monolith Soft came from Square. Like,
oh, really? I didn't know
they
that.
made
Okay.
Xenogears.
Yeah,
Back in the day,
that's true.
like they made that's why all their games are Xeno. And they made Xeno Sagas 1, 2, and 3. For PS2 and PS3, I believe, back in the day. So I mean, yeah. In some ways, the Xeno franchise now is kind of like a Final Fantasy franchise, just JRPGs that have loosely connected themes, some names, but are all wholly their own stories.
Yeah.
So,
with I don't know, the popularity of these games, are we going to get Xenoblade? Jesus Christ, Xenoblade something from the Wii U? What the
Chronicles
fuck was it called?
X.
Thank you, Jesus.
I would expect at some point that will happen.
Yeah.
I think it's just a low-hanging fruit that will slot in at some point to be like, here, just have this on the Switch, because why not? But when, I don't know. 3 is going to come out, and then they'll be messing with whatever the DLC for 3 is for a while. So
yep. Nintendo doesn't always do logical things, so
no.
But they've brought almost everything over. They brought fucking that damn game I keep forgetting the name of that you bought recently. Fire Emblem and Persona, basically.
Yeah, Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Thank you, Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Like, that's such the weird one to bring over that I'm sure they're going to bring that X over eventually.
Yeah, I would think so.
So yeah, I've been playing a couple of things this week. Xenoblade Chronicles, put about 3 hours in, 2.5, 3 hours in. And I like the story for some reason. I like the 3 characters and their interactions. I like the that system where you have like the heart to heart. You have to like go to a place to like have a conversation with them. And then if you don't have the right affinity level, you can't undo it at that point. And I did one so far with Fiora, yeah. And I think I said the wrong thing. So it seems like you can say the wrong thing, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So I appreciate that. Yeah, I've just having a lot of fun. It's I'm listening to an audiobook while I'm playing, because I'm really just running around leveling up, mopping up some fetch quests basically. And it's like the right thing for where I'm at right now, because I kind of want to listen to books right now. So it's kind of a cool thing to do while I'm listening.
Yeah.
So that has been cool. And then I have played something else this week, and I'm blanking on what it was. So I'm going to pivot to you while I remember.
Well, I was away with my son for a few days, and we just kind of had a father-son kind of go to an Airbnb and hang out and watch movies and play games. And his choice, which probably wouldn't have been my choice, but he was like, just give him free reign on like what co-op thing he wants to do, and he just wanted to play Diablo 3.
Oh, interesting.
And he wanted to start new characters and just play.
Mm-hmm.
So we played to Act 4.
Oh, wow.
Like, just a lot of playing.
Right.
But again, it's just interesting to, like, as he's getting older, how he is clearly getting better analytical skills. Because he's analyzing stats and skills and items and trying to make, like, the best call on, like, what the type of build he wants to make and what would help with that. And I'm like, this is interesting, just from a parent standpoint of watching that development. Because, like, 3 years ago, he wouldn't have cared.
Right. He would have just done whatever.
Yeah. And it's going to show his progress going on there. And the fact for, like, his birthday wasn't too long ago, and he got Hades on the PS4, PS5, and he's playing it. And he understands that he's gotten to Hades multiple times. He hasn't beat Hades yet, but he got there. He got there faster than I ever did.
Oh, dang. That's crazy.
And I'm like, what the hell? Like, but yeah, it's just fun to learn and watch. Definitely like a certain level of being proud of your kids there in some ways. And they're just like, yeah, you're learning. You're actually like figuring things out. So I played, that's what I played the last, mostly Friday, was when we were really just playing a bunch of games. Beyond that, I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles, definitive. I'm 30-ish hours in, 25, 30, and I've, like, talked here, getting to the point where I'm like, okay, have I seen all the things I can do? Is this it? Do I just need to work my way through the rest of the game? And if that's the case, then I will just set it to easy difficulty, so not just spending minutes fighting mobs and just plow through the game. there are a lot of fetch quests and side quests
in
that
God.
game. So many. And you kind of want to do them because they're the main way you make money. Mm-hmm. Not experience, but money. So
and you get to go back to drop them off, or do you just
some you do, some you don't.
Okay, because I feel like I've been getting some of them just out in the field.
Yeah, some just complete while you're out in the field doing things. Some are like really are like you get an item and you need to take it back to someone.
Yeah. Okay.
But so it varies. So there's that. What else have I messed with at all?
Can I break back in here while you're thinking about it? Because I can't believe I forgot this. I went away for a couple days and I played Disco Elysium.
Oh, right. I played a little bit of that too. Only like an hour.
Okay. Why don't you start and then I'll pick up?
Well, I mean, just like it's everything everyone's ever said it to be. Like that first hour just hit me with like, oh, right. This game is fucking weird. Its writing is really good, but I'm talking to my ancient reptile brain at the start. God, it's a weird game. So weird.
Did you dig into the thought stuff yet? Like how you level up your skills, basically.
Yes, I did that one time.
And I was like, "What to you?"
Yes.
Oh my god,
it's very unique, an incredibly unique game, an incredible presentation. Honestly,
yeah, I love the art style.
I need to play more of it. I played it. I was just like, "This is a lot right now to take in." Like,
yeah. I mean,
it does not ease you in to what it is. It's just like, no. Go.
Like, I'm like, am I talking to myself? What is happening here? Am I crazy? Am I drunk? Am I on drugs? Maybe all those things are true.
Yeah.
But if you go to the podcast 2 years ago, like this month, I was playing this and talking about how great it was, and I put 11 hours into it, and then I stopped for some reason. And I didn't come back until this week. And I put another probably 12 hours into it. I'm probably 23, 24 hours in. It's supposed to be like a 20 to 30 hour game. I'm kind of being completionist. I'm trying to do a lot of the stuff. But there's just so much. I just keep digging into places and finding random stuff. And then it turns out that thing I need is somewhere else. I just don't want to share any details because it's just, it feels like everything's spoilery, but there's so many interconnected stories. So many weird items that you find that you think, what the fuck is this? But it actually is useful in some way. Some really random side quests that like really random, like the one that kind of leads into the name Disco Elysium was like, what the fuck is this? This seems so bizarre and weird. But then it factors into the main quest, and I'm getting to the point now where I can hit the point of no return and finish the game. But there's still, having looked at a couple guides and things, I know there's more things that I want to do. But the writing just never lets up. I kept posting little screenshots in our Discord of just like random funny ass shit that I just I couldn't get over. And it's just the last time I played, there was no voiceover. It was just text. And I think eventually that's what got me with the game is I love reading, whatever, but my game time is usually at night. So if it's a game that's heavy reading, I'm starting to fall asleep, even if I'm interested in it. But I went away for a couple of days and I was playing during the day. But then there was also voice acting, which I really enjoyed. The voice acting is really well done. I think you probably played with voice acting.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. When your thoughts start talking to each other and fighting with each other, and a couple of my thoughts I've raised to quite a high level, like visual calculus, and a couple others, and it tells you in the game, like at low levels, this is what happens. At high levels, this is what happens, and at low and high levels, they're both not great things. Like if you max something out, you're, I forget which one I've maxed out. I can't remember which thought it was, but it was telling me to do something that was like clearly a very bad idea. So I just totally ignored it. But I was like, okay, this, it's almost like fucking with like the, feeling like what the game is telling you is what you're supposed to be doing, but it was definitely not what I was supposed to be doing. But apparently I have not died in the game yet. Apparently you can die. And I'm sure it has some consequences, or you go backwards or whatever. I don't know what, but I'm just methodically making my way through it and looking forward to another time when I have during the day like 3 hours to just sit down and continue on, because I don't want to play it in I don't want to play it at night, and I don't want to play it in short little bursts. I want a nice another chunk. It is one of the most unique games I've ever played, and I'm sure there are CRPGs or whatever that have similar mechanics in terms of, no combat. It's just dialogue driven, but it's really up my alley still. And I wish it wouldn't have taken me 2 years to get back into it.
Yeah, just for my little time with it, just that hour, I'm just like, it is incredibly unique in its presentation and writing and the whole thing. Yeah, I think it's taking a lot of the mechanics, the CRPG mechanics you're talking about, but it does its own thing with them. Like, I get why it won a bunch of awards. Like, clearly inspired by a lot of different games, but the devs really were inspired themselves in how to, like, mix and match that all together and elevate it beyond its original sources.
Do you know where Zaum is? Like, located? Off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. I know they're in Europe somewhere, I believe.
Yeah, I feel like they're like Danish or something. Like, it just feels culturally slightly askew, which is really cool.
Yeah. I don't know if they're Estonian, but the game was written and designed by Estonian novelist Robert Kurvitz.
Wow. Okay, that's even cooler. It was done by a novelist, huh?
Yep. Maybe they're Estonian, though.
Yeah, that sounds right. I wonder what they're doing next.
I know. What do you do? What do you do after this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is maybe not their first game, but if it is, like, you start off with your magnum opus, then what?
Yeah. Oh, it looks like they have studios in London as well. Like they're made up of like 3 locations. Independent game developer with publisher based in the UK and Europe, with our offices in Porto, Brighton, and London.
Okay.
Our team is spread across the globe and is currently composed of around 60 writers, artists, and developers.
Wow. Okay.
So they're in a lot of places, really.
Well, it's a little older of a game, but boy, if you haven't played it, check it out. It was just on sale. It's not on sale right now on Steam, but it was just on sale for 65% off.
I'm pretty sure it's on sale again. Steam sale's going on.
Steam sale? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the summer Steam sale is go. Buy your games.
As you said, buy the games you know you're not going to play.
It's $14 right now.
Oh my good fucking Christ, man.
65% off.
Yeah. That's beyond worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, people should. I think they should get this game. I think it's very much its own thing. I don't think you'll play anything else like it in the past. Yeah, and probably quite a while in the future.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask you, but you've answered it. Like, what else is there that's like this? Or not even like, is there anything that's like nearly like it, or like, I don't think there's tangentially like this?
I mean, any of the CRPG, it's very clearly inspired by some of the like traditional CRPGs, but I don't know of anything that does anything like Disco Elysium's actually doing. Like,
okay,
like all that normal CRPG stuff is typically very high fantasy D&D related, which is not this game. It's more traditional kind of leveling up, not talking to your thoughts. Like, yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, it does its own thing with a genre not known for deviating too far from its source materials. Right. That high fantasy kind of.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that stuck out to me is how much I'm liking this. And this, I usually just like high fantasy, but now between this and like the book I'm reading, Project Hail Mary, I'm like, wow, I want more sci-fi. I want more of this kind of noir, kind of detective stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what's going on?
I actually want to give a recognition for anyone here who wants, like, I wouldn't call it completely sci-fi or anything, but like a noir detective thing that's very different. It's The City and the City by China Miéville.
Oh my, absolutely, dude.
That book fucking rules.
You recommended that to me. I read that in 2014, and I still think about that book.
It's such a neat premise for dealing with the modern world in some ways, reflecting back on it, but also being a very good noir novel. And it's not up his alley either. He's like, that's not the type of book he had written before that. But honestly, now thinking about it, Disco Elysium kind of reminds me of that kind of tone.
Yeah, now that you say it, that is something that I didn't think of, but that's right.
That's interesting. I'll keep that in mind as I play more Disco Elysium. But
well, that's the thing is like it's so it's I don't know how it's accessible. Like the schema is there, like based on like what we know in our world or whatever, but it's just slightly askew that it's so unique and interesting. Man, yeah, recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. I hope to get through it by the end of summer.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Oh, cool. And last thing, I guess, Summer Games Done Quick has started. And there is a bunch of cool shirts on the Yeti, Yetee, but they're all going to do a speed run of Wind Waker. So I'm going to try to get my daughter to watch that with me. We'll see if it works. Because last time it was in January, I think. Yeah. Tried to get her to watch the speed run of Kena Bridge of Spirits, and she thought it was cool for about 5 minutes. She's like, "Okay, now can we play it?"
Yeah, I mean that might happen here too. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like baby, we can't play it until they put it on Switch because I can't find my Wii U. I mean, still can't find it.
Oh no, where could it go?
Yeah, dude. I'm just thinking,
And who would want to take a Wii U?
Well, I keep telling my wife, like, the exterminator came out to deal with the termites. Maybe he took it. And she's like, he didn't take the TV. He didn't take whatever else is out there. He didn't take your computer. He took the Wii U. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. But, never know. But no, I think she's probably right.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's sad. It's got to be somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere. I had to have taken it into the house to play Wind Waker with her and don't know where I put it. But I had it out there connected to the TV to play Yoshi Crafted World, so I'm not sure. I won't be that bummed. It'll suck. There's stuff on there that I can't play anywhere else, but almost everything I would want to play on it is on Switch now. And if they just put the GBA games and Wind Waker on the Switch, then I'll be... If I lost it, then I lost it, and that's how it is.
Yeah. So... Oh yeah, because looking at Summer Games so quick, Wind Waker is on the last day on Saturday. But did you see what they're ending with?
I didn't understand what they're ending with. I saw something that said like discussion or something like that.
No, well, that's the finale at the end. Like that's like once it hits midnight and they finish. But their final 2 games for Saturday night are both Elden Ring. They're doing an Elden Ring. All Remembrances run.
In a 2-hour run, it said.
2-hour runs, but they have to get all Remembrances in that 2 hours.
How the fuck can you do it in 2 hours?
I don't know. I want to watch it, and then they're doing Elden Ring any %, which those are the ones people are getting. Like, they put 33 minutes here. That's conservative, because I've seen people beat it in, like, 27 minutes, 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Where they just have to make the path to the end of the game.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to that. I want to see some people just... do crazy strats to beat this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy for Games Done Quick going on again.
Me too. Happy for their cool Celeste t-shirt too, which I'm absolutely going to buy.
I saw that one. I was like, of course you're getting that one. I'm not getting that one. I'm getting there's a Final Fantasy one in there, Magitech armor.
I did see that one, yeah.
And I was like, yep, give me that one. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So I've already ordered my t-shirt. It'll be here.
Yeah. I haven't done it yet, but I will before it's over. I was scrolling through and I was like, I was going to text you. I was like, guess which one I'm going to buy. And then I scrolled down a little bit further and I saw a second one I'm going to buy. I'm like, well, he will probably guess both of these. It was that one. And then it was Shovel Knight. I think
the
Shovel
Knight one immediately.
Yep. So those two. But Celeste #1, that game is amazing. I kind of want to go back and play Celeste now. Yeah. So, this was episode 343 of Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. Tell a friend. Again, $1 donation to the abortion funds for every download we get for this episode, specifically until the end of July. So please pass it around. And we will be back next week, surely, absolutely, without a doubt, talking about the Nintendo Direct that's going to happen on the 29th.
Completely. It's 100% going to happen.
No doubt.
No doubt.
All right. See you, folks.
Later, everyone.